Welcome to Your Healthy Kitchen from Dignity Health Yavapai Regional Medical Center.
Welcome to Dignity Health, YRMC's Your Healthy Kitchen. I'm your host, Rita Carey Rubin. So it's springtime and we are out here digging in the dirt with Daniel Blake, a very special guest who has taught people around the world how to grow food for themselves and their communities. And lucky for us, Daniel's business, Living Soils, is based here in Prescott, where he mentors and consults people on how to grow vibrant, healthy gardens. So Daniel's going to give us a tour of his raised garden beds and his greenhouse and share some of that wisdom that he's gained over 40 years. So welcome, Daniel.
Thank you, Rita, for giving me the opportunity to share my passion, which is to feed hungry children no matter where they are. And the way I do that is by mentoring their parents on how to grow clean, nutritious food, like the food you see here, the kale, the lettuces, the cilantro. And then after that, I'm going to show you how we can build a raised bed. Here we have a bed that is 33 inches wide, and the reason I build them 33 inches wide is I can step over them and work it. I dig the soil first and I set it off to the side, and then I build a box elsewhere and then carry it in and set it in place. And it has legs in it so I can level the bottom of the bed. And then I bring in hardware cloth, 1/2 inch hardware cloth, and I form it to fit the inside of the bed, and I staple it to the inside, and then I cover that with landscape fabric all the way up near the top of the wood, so that if I'm digging in the future down into the bed with my hands, I'm not going to get my skin hurt. And then I begin to backfill the beds. And when I backfill, I always put rocks on the bottom for drainage, and I backfill with the native dirt that I took out of here, adding very little bit of mulch to it. And after I have it about 2 to 3 inches deep in the bottom of the bed, I get the entire thing saturated so it can settle. And then I keep backfilling up in 3 and 4 inch increments all the way across the bed, adding a little bit more organic matter for the biology of the soil. When I'm finished and the whole thing has been saturated, I'm ready to plant. In this bed, we're backfilled now. All the soil is in and the organic matter is built up in the soil. And now I'm going to place a trace mineral element right on top of the soil here. And I'm just going to cover the ground like this. So this gives me about, at this rate, at about 1/4 pound per 10 square feet if I was to do the whole area. I'm just going to do that area right now. And then I'm going to top dress that with some more organic matter, and then I'm going to work it right into the top couple inches of the soil. And this is where you don't want rocks. If you have rocks, you want the rocks out of the way because you don't want them right in the topsoil. It's okay to have rocks lower down because that helps the soil to breathe. Okay, so that's just a light little dressing, and then that just gets worked into the soil. And this is okay. And now I'm going to show you how we water it. And the watering is really key here, how this gets done. Because you want to be able to evenly go across the soil. And what you'll do is you'll be able to see that there's a buildup of water there. I call it a sheen of water, going all the way across the soil. And I want you to notice that in just a few seconds' time, that water disappears down into the soil underneath it. And then you come back again. It's critical that you do it at least 3 times going across here so the water goes deep enough for your new transplants. When you come home at the end of the day, you want them to be alive. In this bed here, we're set up for planting. Having finished planting, we have the irrigation system in. And when it waters, we want to cover the entire bed with water. The sprayers are staggered so that I can get the total coverage that I want. When I prepare a bed for planting, I aerate the soil by using a digging fork to fluff up the soil. And with the organic matter already added to it and the nutrient added to it, then I basically create a sponge to hold water in the soil so that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm at work somewhere else, my garden is being watered by just releasing the water to the plant that's already in the soil, that's being held by the aerated soil and the mulch. Okay, here I am going to crack the earth here on this bed, and this is what it means to crack the earth. So I'm just lifting the soil, and just that right there is called cracking the earth. What this does here is it makes it easier for me to stick plants in the ground and keep them alive, because the soil is not hard and the water will just roll off of it if you don't crack the earth. And what you want to do is loosen that up, put that air in it, and watch your plants grow. The way I like to plant, I'll just move the soil off to the side. I always stick my plant in a little bit high and then allow it to settle. Set it down right there and then pack the dirt in around it. Go to another one. And then I come in right beside it, in between, staggered. And then we can carry that pattern out. You're going to fill the earth and just cover it with plants. And as they grow, they're going to fill up all that space in between. And whatever space they don't fill up, that's where you plant your root crops, your carrots and beets. And if you do it that way, you're going to be planting so that the whole ground cover is covered with plants growing on top and underneath. All right, in this bed here, we have leaf plants on this edge of the bed, and in this section of the bed I have both leaf and root crops in here. And the reason I do it that way is because there's different nutrient needs for each different crop that you're growing. Whether it's beets, carrots, spinach, cilantro, kale, celeriac, onions, peas, those are the different things that are in this section right here. And the minerals that I use here is the azomite. And the azomite has 70 trace minerals in it. It's not high in nitrogen. It just has the full nutrient load that all the plants need and what the soil needs. And if the soil needs it and the plant uses it, then when I eat the plant, I get that nutrient in my body. And that's how this bed is working. The material I use for putting in my seedling trays is this product here. And I fill the trays up with the material, I pack them down a little bit, and then I thoroughly saturate them so that they're ready for seeds. And that's how I plant my seeds, right there. And then from that stage, they would go from there into pots or into a permanent growing place. When I use the Malibu potting soil on top of a bed, I only put it at a 1/2 to 1 inch layer all the way across the top of the bed. And this just makes it easier for transplanting and for seeding. I'm going to transplant into this 4-inch pot. I've gotten the material wet and I made a little depression for it. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to lift a tomato plant out. And it looks like there's 2 of them here. And that little block is going to sit right down in there. And I can take a little extra material and plant it around it. And this thing is ready to grow in this 4-inch pot for another month before I'm ready to stick it in the ground. Now if I want to plant this here, I'll go find a location for it to grow, set it down in. It's ready to go. Didn't disturb the root at all. It'll grow fine. What I'm most passionate about is teaching you how to grow food. And here we are in my greenhouse and my classroom. And where I can help you the most is throughout the season, not just planting, but all the way throughout the season. So when you have questions, if you want to give me a call and ask me those questions, I'll give you an answer. And Rita, I'd really like to thank you for inviting me onto your show, Your Healthy Kitchen. It's been a pleasure being here, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you, Daniel, so much for sharing your knowledge. And I know you've inspired and taught so many people on how to grow food and also be better gardeners, including myself. So to learn more about Daniel and his services and also see content on how to build a raised bed garden box and compost pile, visit his website at livingsoilsinc.com. And also be sure to check out all of our Your Healthy Kitchen videos at yrmchealthconnect.org and follow me on Facebook at YRMC's Your Healthy Kitchen. So until next time, grow something good to eat, and we'll see you soon.